Welcome to our channel History of Coins, where we explore the hidden gems of numismatics. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of US 5-cent coins, as some of these coins are rare and can make you rich overnight. In this video, we are gonna uncover the rarest coins and their values. So make sure to watch the complete video and find out if you have one of these. Now let's continue our today's video. Top 1. Today, we're unlocking the mystery behind a coin that looks small and ordinary, but could be hiding extraordinary value. So get comfortable, because what we're about to uncover might just change the way you look at your spare change forever. Let's talk about the 1943 United States 5-cent coin, commonly known as the wartime nickel. Now, don't let its plain appearance fool you. This humble coin holds a powerful story from a critical moment in American history, and for a few incredibly rare versions of it, collectors are willing to pay an eye-watering amount of money. Let's rewind to the year 1943. World War II was in full swing. America was focused on victory, and every resource, including metals, was being redirected to support the war effort. At that time, the United States Mint made an important decision. Nickel, which was normally used to make 5-cent coins, was suddenly needed for armor plating and military equipment. So, the Mint had to get creative. Instead of the usual metal, the 5-cent coins minted between 1942 and 1945 were struck using a special wartime alloy, a mix of 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese. That means the 1943 nickel isn't actually made of nickel at all. Now, here's where things get exciting. Most of these wartime nickels look pretty similar, but among them, a handful of mysterious error coins have surfaced over the years. And these errors are what every serious collector dreams of. One of the rarest and most valuable types is the 1943 P full Steps Jefferson nickel. What does that mean? On the reverse side of the coin, where you see Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's famous estate, the steps leading up to the building should be fully visible and clearly struck. But due to worn dies and rushed wartime minting, most coins from that time have weak or incomplete step details. So when a 1943 coin surfaces with sharp, fully defined steps, it becomes a treasure. But wait, there's more. Even more thrilling is the discovery of coins that shouldn't exist. Some 1943 nickels were mistakenly struck on the wrong metal planchets, leftover blanks from earlier or later years. These rare minting errors, such as 1943 nickels struck on steel penny planchets or even copper nickel planchets from previous years, are astonishingly rare. And when authenticated, they instantly catch the attention of high-end collectors and auction houses around the world. Another kind of error that drives up the value is the double die error, where parts of the design appear to be doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. These can often be seen in the lettering or in Jefferson's profile, and when they're dramatic and clear, the value shoots up dramatically. Collectors go wild for these error coins because they're more than just money, they're accidents of history, frozen in time. They represent a brief moment when something went slightly wrong in the minting process, and that small mistake turned an ordinary coin into a six-figure prize. Now, you may be wondering, how can you tell if you have one of these rare nickels? First, check the mint mark. For 1943 wartime nickels, it appears above Monticello on the reverse side. If you see a large P, D, or S, you're holding a wartime silver nickel. Then, examine the coin's condition. The less wear, the better. Coins in mint state condition, especially those with full steps and no heavy scratches, are far more valuable. If you think you've got something unusual, maybe a coin with full steps, or strange coloring or weight, or even lettering that looks doubled, it might be time to get it professionally graded and appraised, because one of those rare finds might just make your day or change your life. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. Just how much can a rare 1943 5-cent coin actually be worth? Well, at a major auction, a pristine, rare error version of the 1943 wartime nickel, with full steps, stunning condition, and an extraordinary story, once sold for an unbelievable $457,000. Yes, you heard that right. So next time you go through your old coin jar, don't overlook those dull gray nickels, because hidden among them could be a tiny piece of American history, worth more than a luxury car, a house, or even a college education. On top 2, we're talking about the United States 5-cent coin from the year 1971. Now, I know what you're thinking. 1971 doesn't sound all that old, right? In fact, some of you watching might even have a handful of these nickels sitting in a jar or tucked away in a drawer. But here's where it gets interesting. Some of these coins, under the right conditions and with the right characteristics, can be worth far more than 5 cents. And I'm not talking about just a few dollars. I'm talking about the kind of money that could change your entire week, or maybe even your life. Let's start with the basics. The 1971 Jefferson nickel, as it's officially known, features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front, or obverse, side of the coin. On the reverse, you'll see an image of Monticello, Jefferson's iconic home in Virginia. This design has been used on nickels for decades, and it's one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. But what makes some of these 1971 nickels so special? To understand that, we need to dive into the world of minting and the fascinating world of errors and varieties. You see, while millions of these coins were struck by the U.S. Mint, not all of them were created equal. Sometimes, during the high-speed process of coin production, something unusual happens. A coin might be struck off-center, or perhaps it gets struck on the wrong kind of metal blank, what collectors call a planchet. Sometimes, the dies that press the image onto the coin are misaligned, or used too long, resulting in blurry or doubled features. And these mistakes, these tiny little accidents, are what drive collectors wild. In the case of the 1971 Jefferson nickel, there are several types of errors and rare features that can turn this common coin into a collector's dream point. One of the most sought-after varieties is the double die error, where the details on the coin appear to be doubled, especially the words, like "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." These errors are incredibly valuable when they're bold and clearly visible, and they make the coin stand out immediately from the rest. Then, there's the off-center strike, where part of the coin's design is missing or pushed to one side because the coin wasn't aligned properly during minting. The more dramatic the off-center strike, and the more complete the visible date and details, the more desirable the coin becomes. Another possibility is the wrong planchet error. Imagine a 5-cent coin that was mistakenly struck on a blank mint for a penny or a dime. These are extremely rare, and because they're so unusual, collectors are willing to pay a premium for them. Let's not forget about condition. A 1971 nickel that's been through decades of pockets, drawers, and cash registers might only be worth face value. But one that has been preserved in perfect, uncirculated condition, with sharp details, a strong strike, and no scratches or dings, is in a whole different league. Coins in this kind of pristine shape are often graded by professional services and receive a mint state (MS) rating. The higher the rating, the higher the value. And here's where it all comes together. Imagine holding in your hand a 1971 Jefferson nickel with a double die error, in perfect mint state condition, with razor-sharp detail and stunning luster. It's not just a piece of money anymore. It's a historical artifact, a conversation starter, a prize. For collectors, finding one of these coins is like finding buried treasure. And now, the moment everyone's been waiting for, a rare 1971 United States 5-cent coin, with the right error and in flawless condition, has been known to fetch an incredible $68,000. Yes, you heard that right. So, next time you're going through your change, don't just glance over those nickels. Look closely. You might just be holding onto a piece of American history. And if you're lucky, it could be worth more than a luxury car or a year's salary. On top 3, we're unlocking the secrets behind a coin that might seem like nothing more than spare change. But don't be fooled. What looks like a simple nickel could actually be hiding a small fortune. So don't blink, because this might just be the most exciting 5 cents you've ever seen. Today, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 1973 United States 5-cent coin, better known as the Jefferson nickel. Now, at first glance, this coin might seem incredibly common. After all, nickels from the 1970s are still floating around in circulation even today. You've probably come across dozens of them without giving it a second thought. But here's where things get interesting and where collectors start to lean in a little closer. While millions of these coins were minted in 1973, not all of them were created equally. And among those millions, a tiny fraction were struck with rare and valuable errors. These are the coins that collectors dream of, coins that somehow slipped through the strict quality controls of the U.S. Mint and made their way out into the world, carrying tiny mistakes that now make them incredibly rare. Let's talk about what to look for. First, take a look at the obverse. That's the front of the coin, where you'll see the profile of Thomas Jefferson. If you look closely at the words, "In God We Trust" or "Liberty," you might notice something unusual. On some rare examples, these letters appear doubled. This is called a double die error, and it happens when the coin's image is struck twice but slightly out of alignment. The result is a ghost-like doubling that serious collectors are always watching for. And if you happen to have a 1973 nickel with this error, you could be holding onto something truly special. Now flip it over to the reverse side, the image of Monticello, Jefferson's famous estate. Here's another spot where you can find signs of value. Look carefully at the steps leading up to the building. On most coins, those steps are worn down or barely visible due to weak strikes or circulation wear. But a coin with full steps, meaning every single stair is clean, sharp, and fully visible, is considered far more desirable. It takes a precise strike and perfect conditions for those steps to appear so clearly, and when they do, it dramatically increases the coin's value. Then, there are the rare cases where something truly unusual happens. Imagine a 1973 nickel that was accidentally struck off-center, with part of the design missing or pushed toward one side. Or even more bizarre, a coin struck on the wrong metal, like a blank meant for a penny or a foreign coin. These mistakes, called wrong planchet errors, are incredibly rare and highly collectible. They're the kind of minting accidents that spark bidding wars at auctions. And of course, condition is everything. A coin fresh from the mint, never touched by circulation, can be graded as mint state, and collectors go wild for those. The shine, the crisp details, the flawless surfaces, it all adds up to big value. The higher the grade, the higher the price. Coins graded MS 65 or above are especially sought after, and when you combine that condition with a rare error, well, let's just say you're no longer looking at spare change. Now here's where it gets really exciting. While most 1973 nickels are worth just 5 cents, and even a nice one might be worth a few bucks to a casual collector, there are some, just a handful in the world, that have everything going for them. A perfect storm of rarity, condition, and minting error. And one of those rare coins has been known to sell for a jaw-dropping $63,000. Yes, that's not a typo. A coin you might have dismissed as pocket change turned out to be a small fortune in disguise. So the next time you're digging through your coin jar, or you get change back at the store, take a moment to really look at that nickel. You never know what secrets it might be hiding. That 5-cent piece could be your ticket to the Collector's Hall of Fame, or at the very least, one unforgettable story. On top 4, I have something truly fascinating for you. A coin that many might overlook, but which holds the potential for incredible value. We're diving deep into the 1979 United States 5-cent coin, better known as the Jefferson nickel. At first glance, a 1979 nickel looks pretty standard. Millions were minted that year, and you might even have a few sitting around in your spare change. But don't be fooled by its ordinary look. Some versions of this coin have become quite rare and highly sought after by collectors. And if you know what to look for, you could be sitting on a small fortune. So listen very carefully, because the details matter with this coin, and the story behind it is truly captivating. First, a little background. The Jefferson nickel design has been a staple of American coinage for decades, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the front and his historic home, Monticello, on the back. The 1979 issue followed the classic style, but what sets some of these coins apart are the minting errors and variations that occurred during production. One of the most important features collectors look for in the 1979 nickel is the full steps variety on the reverse side. What does that mean? Well, the Monticello image shows a set of steps leading up to the building, and on many nickels, those steps are faint or partially worn away due to weak strikes or circulation wear. However, a full steps nickel has all the steps fully visible and sharply defined. This might seem like a minor detail, but it's crucial for collectors because it indicates a strong strike and a coin that was well preserved or struck from fresher dies. The full steps variety from 1979 is particularly prized and commands a premium in the market, but that's just the beginning. The 1979 nickel is also known for a few fascinating mint errors that can skyrocket its value. One of the rarest and most exciting errors is the double die obverse, where you can clearly see doubling in the lettering or the date on the front of the coin. This is not a smudge or wear. It's a genuine doubling caused by a misalignment in the minting process, and it's a collector's dream. Another highly sought-after error is the off-center strike. Imagine a coin where part of Jefferson's profile or the Monticello design is cut off because the blank metal planchet wasn't properly centered during striking. Off-center coins from 1979 vary in value depending on how dramatic the off-center strike is, but the more visible and well-preserved, the better. Additionally, some 1979 nickels were mistakenly struck on the wrong planchet, meaning they were made from metal blanks intended for other coins. These wrong planchet errors are incredibly rare and often worth a significant premium to serious collectors. Condition is king when it comes to coin value, and the 1979 nickel is no exception. While many coins from this year have been circulated heavily, the few that remain in pristine, uncirculated condition with sharp details and full luster are the real gems. When these coins are graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, they can receive a mint state rating, and the highest grades from this year attract serious attention. Oh, how valuable can a rare 1979 nickel be? Well, while most 1979 nickels are worth just 5 cents or a bit more if they're in very nice condition, those rare error coins, especially the double die and full steps varieties in mint condition, have been known to fetch staggering prices at auction. And here's the big reveal. A 1979 United States 5 cents coin, with the right error and in impeccable condition, has sold for an astounding $60,000. Yes, $60,000 for a coin that many people toss aside without a second thought. So next time you're rummaging through your coin collection or digging into a jar of spare change, take a moment to really examine those nickels from 1979. You never know, one of them could be your ticket to an unexpected treasure. Top 5, and last rare coin. I want to talk about a coin that might be hiding in your pocket or tucked away in your collection. The 1985 United States 5 cents coin, better known as the Jefferson nickel. At first glance, the 1985 nickel might seem like just another run-of-the-mill coin, but for collectors and numismatists, this particular year holds some special surprises. Believe it or not, certain 1985 nickels can be worth far more than their face value, sometimes dramatically more. So listen closely, because this could change how you look at your spare change forever. Let's start with the basics. The 1985 Jefferson nickel features the familiar profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and the historic Monticello home on the reverse. This design has been a staple of American coinage for decades, but coins minted in 1985 have some unique characteristics that make them stand out. One key factor that affects the rarity and value of the 1985 nickel is the condition. Like many coins, those that have been heavily circulated tend to lose value. But if you have a coin that has been well preserved, with sharp details and a clear strike, you're already ahead of the game. But what really gets collectors excited are the errors and varieties that popped up during the minting process in 1985. First, there are double die errors. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once by the die, but slightly misaligned, causing a doubled or shadowed effect on the date, lettering, or design elements. If you look closely at the date or the word Liberty on some 1985 nickels, you might spot this subtle doubling, which can add tremendous value. Then, there are the off-center strikes. These are coins that were struck off the center of the planchet, meaning part of the design is missing or cut off. Depending on how severe the off-center strike is, these coins can be quite rare and highly prized by collectors. Another fascinating feature found on some 1985 nickels is the full steps variety. On the reverse side, the Monticello building has a set of steps leading up to it, and many nickels show only partial steps due to weak strikes or wear. But a 1985 nickel with fully detailed, sharp steps is much rarer and thus more valuable. Sometimes, coins from this year were also struck on the wrong planchet, for example, a blank metal piece intended for another coin. These rare mistakes are exciting finds that can boost the value of a nickel significantly. Now, condition and errors aside, grading is a huge part of the coin's value. A professionally graded coin with a high mint state rating, meaning it looks as close to perfect as possible, can fetch a much higher price than one that shows signs of wear and tear. So how much can a 1985 nickel be worth if it ticks all these boxes? Well, while most 1985 nickels are worth just a few cents, there are some rare examples out there that have been known to sell for an incredible amount, and the grand prize for a rare 1985 United States 5 cents coin, especially one with notable errors or in pristine condition, is a staggering $56,000. That's right, a coin you might overlook as just spare change could potentially be worth tens of thousands of dollars. So next time you come across a 1985 Jefferson nickel, take a closer look. It might just be hiding a valuable secret waiting to be discovered. If you love this video and want to learn about more rare coins, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting.